About 3 million people visit Glacier National Park every year, but not everyone makes it home safe. Come on an adventure with us on some of our favorite Glacier National Park hikes to discover 9 of the most common ways people die in Glacier National Park. Let's get started by asking this question. Is Highline Trail in Glacier National Park dangerous? Glacier National Park is part of some of the most wild country in the United States, and Highline Trail is one of the most iconic hikes in Glacier National Park. But it's also one of the most dangerous. It starts right across from Logan Pass and quickly wraps along a narrow ledge carved into a cliff, with nothing but a cable and 3 feet of trail between you and a drop of hundreds of feet down to Going to the Sun Road. The trail is breathtaking, but people have died here and on other dangerous trails in Glacier National Park. In 2013, a 64-year-old man lost his life after he slipped about a mile west of Logan Pass. The fall caused bodily trauma that he did not recover from, even though there were attempts to revive him. What makes these falls so tragic is that they're usually avoidable accidents. Weather can cause difficult terrain that is challenging to hike, but the trail can be narrow and crowded, especially in peak season, and hikers often feel pressure to move aside or rush forward. But you are always safer staying planted and letting others pass when it's wide enough. If you're uncomfortable with heights or hiking with kids, consider hiking on a better weather day or choose another trail in the park. Coming up later, we'll talk about bears, but the most popular way to die is via water. Let's move onto Iceberg Lake Trail, and people often ask, can you swim in Glacier National Park's lakes? Swimming in Glacier National Park is a popular adventure for many, but you need to know what you're getting into. These waters are glacier-fed and dangerously cold even in July. But many people strip down to their swimsuit to get their social post at Grinnell Glacier or Iceberg Lake. But many people swim in Lake McDonald just to relax and enjoy a hot summer day. In 2024, a 28-year-old man went swimming with friends on a Saturday evening. He was near the Sprague Creek campground when he began to struggle about 30 yards from shore. He went underwater and never resurfaced. Even strong swimmers can lose the ability to move their limbs in glacial water this cold. And because many lakes have steep drop-offs where one step you may be able to feel the bottom and the next step could be trouble. If you plan to enjoy the water, keep it safe, wade near the shore, avoid jumping or diving, and never swim alone. Consider wearing a life jacket, but better yet, take a boat tour or rent a kayak to enjoy the scenery without the risk. Is Glacier National Park safe for seniors or people with health issues? Glacier National Park can be an incredible destination for people of all ages, but the combination of high elevation, rugged terrain, and limited medical access can be dangerous for those with underlying health conditions. Heart attacks are the number 2 cause of death in Glacier National Park. In 2014, a 67-year-old man suffered a heart attack and died while hiking near St. Mary Falls. He was with his wife on a ranger-led guided tour. CPR was initiated by the ranger and other hikers, but he was declared dead at the scene. The next day, a 75-year-old male hiking Iceberg Ptarmigan Trail also died of a heart attack. This kind of tragedy underscores the importance of knowing your limits and preparing accordingly. If you or someone in your group has a heart condition or limited mobility, stick to lower elevation hikes like Trail of the Cedars or boardwalk paths near Apgar. But carrying your own AED weighing only 2 to 7 pounds with family or friends that know how to use it could also be a good strategy. At a minimum, always carry plenty of water, rest often, and check with your doctor before attempting anything strenuous. Are you liking this walk and talk format? We share all of the national parks we've been to in this way. Subscribe today so the next time you research Glacier or plan your next trip, our videos show up at the top of your search results. Okay, coming up later we'll discuss Going to the Sun Road, but let's move on to the Grinnell Glacier Trail and ask, do I need warm gear even in the summer? It might be 85 degrees in the parking lot, but a few miles in, especially above the tree line, you could be dealing with wind, rain, or even snow. In 2023, a college student went hiking in tennis shoes and shorts. He told his family that the weather was beautiful before the hike. But about 4 miles in, he encountered snow, got stuck, and lost his shoes while freeing his legs from the snowpack. He tried everything he could to escape the conditions, but was unable to return back to his vehicle and civilization. He decided to build a shelter and wait. 3 days went by until luckily search and rescue saved him using helicopters and thermal imaging. But many are not so fortunate. Still, the man became hypothermic and frostbitten and incurred a long recovery in the hospital. Hypothermia isn't just a winter danger. Wet clothes and wind can chill your core temperature fast, especially when your body is tired from hiking. Always dress for setbacks and pack layers, no matter the season. A waterproof jacket, insulating fleece, gloves, and even a beanie can make the difference between an uncomfortable hike and a life-threatening emergency. But you may also pack a lighter or matches, flashlight, rescue rope, and a first aid kit. We'll share our gear recommendations in the video description if you want ideas. Later we'll talk about death from above, but let's get in the car and ask our next question. Has anyone ever driven off going to the Sun Road? Going to the Sun Road is one of the most scenic drives in the world, but it's also narrow, winding, and lined with cliffs that drop thousands of feet with nothing but rock knee wall guardrails in many sections. It requires constant attention, as you can see here, but unfortunately that's not always what it gets, or people are too scared to drive going to the Sun Road safely. In 2019, a car plummeted off the Going to the Sun Road to avoid a vehicle stopped around a blind corner to watch a bear. Search and rescue had to rappel down 40 feet to free the driver and passengers. But last year, a man died when he was involved in a rollover crash. The man was ejected from the vehicle and died due to head injury. Helicopters were unable to fly due to weather, and the man was pronounced dead at the hospital. It's a reminder that beauty can also be dangerous if you're not careful. But if you're not comfortable driving steep, narrow, busy roads, consider using the park shuttle system or booking a red bus tour. And no matter what, don't stop in the middle of the road for photos, but use the pull-offs instead. Are there avalanches in Glacier National Park? While avalanches are mostly a winter and spring risk, rockfall is a real danger during the summer. Glacier's rugged terrain is constantly shifting, especially in high elevation areas where freeze-thaw cycles loosen rocks. So why are we still driving going to the Sun Road? Well, in 2019, a family driving their car and going to the Sun Road were struck by a rock slide. The rocks were between 4 and 12 inches in size. The daughter was struck and killed by the rocks. Her parents and 2 other children sustained minor injuries. When you drive in Glacier, you'll see rocks next to the road, but summer hikers also face risks. Rockfall is common along the Highline Trail and the path to Ptarmigan Tunnel. In some areas, you'll see warning signs telling you to move quickly and avoid stopping under cliffs. The lesson? Never assume the trail is 100% safe just because it's open. Avoid hiking snowfields unless you're experienced, and don't linger in rockfall zones. Every good national park video needs a dad joke. If you are ever in the hospital, this is a good one to share. Why don't dogs operate MRI machines? Because cats scan. Okay, back to the list, and let's move on to Hidden Lake Overlook Trail and answer, how many fatal bear attacks have there been in Glacier National Park? Wildlife encounters are a big worry of visitors to the national parks, but in reality, the risk of death by animals are rare. About 10 people have died in Glacier National Park from bear, but bear are actually seen traveling across Hidden Lake Overlook Trail often. So they do happen, and they're almost always preventable. In 2024, a hiker on the Highline Trail was bitten on the leg and sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Her group used bear spray and called in first responders. They were able to hike out, and she was flown to a hospital. But it's not just bears. Moose, elk, bighorn sheep, and mountain goats can be just as dangerous if provoked or surprised. We saw a bear in the mini glacier area of the park and heard from others that a bear was chased by a bighorn sheep right across the Hidden Lake Overlook Trail. But the rule of thumb is to stay at least 100 yards away from bears and 25 yards from all other wildlife. Carry bear spray where it's accessible, not buried in your pack, and never try to get closer for a better photo because wildlife isn't part of a petting zoo. Buy a zoom lens instead. Moving on to St. Mary and Virginia Falls, can you get lost in Glacier National Park? Glacier has over 700 miles of trails, many of which lead deep into the wilderness. And once you leave the road, it's easy to lose your sense of direction, with many intersections like on this trail, and especially if the weather turns. In 2024, a 32-year-old man died after he decided to leave his party and hike alone. When he didn't return to his group at the rendezvous point, his friends called search and rescue. The man was later found dead. Even well-marked trails can be confusing at junctions or after dark. If you're hiking in Glacier, carry a paper map and a digital GPS and compass with offline maps on your phone. Tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back, and if something feels off, turn around. There's no shame in choosing safety. Let's move on to Avalanche Lake Trail to discover what is the #1 cause of death in Glacier National Park. Many would consider bears, falls, car accidents, or other ways to cause the most deaths. But the #1 way to die in Glacier National Park is drowning. But drowning in the lakes isn't the real risk. People usually die in Glacier National Park by getting too close to rivers and creeks. Every year, people die in Avalanche Creek hiking the trail or hiking near St. Mary and Virginia Falls. Surprisingly, these are two of the easiest and amazing hikes in the park. This year, 3 people fell into Avalanche Creek while taking photos. One person fell in. When the 2 others tried to rescue the first, they fell in too. When search and rescue arrived, they discovered 2 were swept away, but saved by other park visitors. But the third needed to be rescued as he was above the water, clinging to a tree inside the gorge. To continue planning your first trip to Glacier National Park, watch this video next.